has been forwarded to an automated voice message.
Try it again.
Try this again.
730.
730.
6137.
Econ 101.
There we go.
Is this Jack Nicholas?
Yeah, his brother from the south side.
Hey, buddy, how are ya?
Hey, man, I'm trying.
You should see this guy on the golf course.
Pretty good golfer, huh?
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
Vern's a good athlete.
So it was,
Mr. Involvement.
I was going to say Mr. Involvement on
Yeah.
that. Let me finish up a very quick email.
Alrighty.
Remember...
So, Vern, were you at the game last night? I didn't see you, but then again, I wasn't down in the locker room. I just stayed up there and did my updates and hustled back to the station.
Yesterday I anchored, so I was out there on the floor for the early show.
Right,
So
right.
Once we got up here at 7, then I jammed. I had to get back in the studio.
Oh,
late.
boy. That's right. So Dennis was out there?
No, Dennis was off.
Dennis was off. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
who's your backup? Who's your third guy that you have?
I won 8 games, and I would have been there for all the.
Yeah.
But,
It was actually kind of crazy out there, but it wasn't nutso like it's going to be in the next few rounds. So
yeah.
You guys ready?
yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's see here. Okay. All right, just kind of play it by ear. How's
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Now, today's show is going to be fun yet again.
Yes.
Because who's joining us?
Yeah, Vern Glenn, our old buddy who has been on the show many times. Matter of fact, was a co-host with us for a couple of years here, and busy guy, sports anchor at KPIX Channel 5, the CBS affiliate in San Francisco. So we're going to talk some NBA hoops, some baseball, a little bit of everything. We're going to bounce all over the place.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And let's see. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. This theme today is going to be baseball records because we're all baseball guys here.
Of course.
Anything to do with like hockey?
I like hockey this time of year, but I don't follow it. I guess because I just didn't grow up playing it.
The Stanley Cup is going on, isn't it?
It's
See,
exciting.
There you go. See, I know a little bit about hockey.
It's exciting this time of year.
This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are still currently yielding over 7.5% secured by Bay Area real estate. By the way, they pay on a monthly basis instead of quarterly.
I like that.
Yeah, so you compound your yield.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any more conservative than that. You got to check them out at PacificPrivateMoney.com. Hey, Vern, are you there?
I'm here, man.
All right. So we'll tell the audience. Vern and I participated in a golf tournament on Monday, and you should see him hit.
Yeah.
Okay, he's got.
I was just wondering if your shoulder's a little sore from carrying it.
from carrying my clubs. Yeah. It's funny. I wasn't as sore as I thought I was going to be, and I didn't stretch enough. But that's what happens when you turn 25, right? I mean 55. I mean 57. One of these ages. That's kind of crazy. Okay. So
You got to invert the numbers.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Well, I just turned 57 not too long ago.
If I invert my numbers, it still doesn't come out very well.
No. Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it doesn't. No.
All right, don't touch that dial. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We will be right back. All right.
Okay. So, Vern, you at home right now?
For the moment, yeah. And then we're wrapped up, and I'll matriculate in. I've got all the shows today, tomorrow, and Saturday.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And Sunday.
Oh boy.
And, are you in later today?
Yeah, I'm on the regular shift. It's nice. I do the updates from 7 to midnight. I tape a few, and then I get out of there once in a while. Like if it's a big game, I'll go to the game and do the updates from there. Last night I did the updates. I didn't have to get any post-game sound. We ran on Comcast, and I came back, cut off about 20 cuts, did the wraps, and got in, got out. It was a 7-hour day, but it was intense, but it was easy, really. I mean, it was just I've done this so many times, so it's not that hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
You guys ready?
You know what? One thing, Vernon,
Yeah.
if you could get on mic, I think it's you're on the speaker,
yeah.
and it kind of sounds a little tinny. I know it's a pain, but if
This will be a little bit better.
that's much better.
That's much better.
Yeah.
All right,
There you go.
here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, tell us again who's on the phone.
Yeah, we got Vern Glenn on the phone, and Vern is Mr. Involvement. For those that don't live in the Bay Area, and most of our listeners don't, they wouldn't know Vern or me or Edward Brown from the guy walking down the street, but we all work in sports, and Vernon's been here for many, many years in television. And Vern, this is a fun time of year. Edward and I were talking about it. I mean, there's so much going on. How do you cover... Here in the Bay Area, we got the Warriors going for a championship. We got the Giants and A's season is just underway, and the San Jose Sharks are the Western Conference defending champions, and they're in the midst of a first-round playoff series. I mean, how do you pick and choose which sports to cover?
Well, you got a limited amount of time to cover it all. If you're the Bay Area sports news station or the CBS affiliate in the market, and yeah, you can't be everywhere, but so you got to figure out what. You got to look at what's trending, what everybody's talking about, what's the degree of importance, and you go out and you cover it, man.
Well,
you can't do it all. I mean, you're going to get calls, but hey, I'm out of this game, I can again, but hey, we're not Sports Center. Can't do it all.
So
we do enough to get by.
So Game 2 of the Warriors Trailblazers game was so dominant. Do you think that they're going to bench Durant when he even comes back healthy?
Well, you go to any of the practices, you got nothing but treatment. And then Kerr for Wednesday's game just said, hey, it just wasn't worth it to play in Game 2. And so he has 5 days of rest and treatment before Game 3, which is scheduled to be when this show airs on Saturday. So the game is in Portland, and we'll just kind of see how he feels.
It's interesting.
Wisdom now. Yeah. I mean, he wants to play. I mean, I know he wants to play, but it's so hard for us to kind of evaluate it because we're not on the inside. I mean, we're not there at every practice. We don't work for the Warriors. We just see and observe and report on what we do see. So, but they live in a whole different world than we do. I mean, you guys want to play. We're back here saying, "Oh wow, why don't you just hold them out?" but it's a risk reward thing. And Game 2, it just wasn't worth the risk.
I was going to say the risk.
And they were able to get by. I mean, it's good God, like JaVale McGee show.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing. I mean, they have that three-headed center. You can put David West in that position, even though he's only 6'7", and he can
7 for 7 from the floor in about 12 minutes.
Yeah,
on the bench.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, between JaVale McGee, David West, and of course Zaza Pachulia, who nobody talks about. I mean, Pachulia came out and scored the first 2 goals of the game, first 2 baskets of the game, and then played stellar defense. He does the dirty work. He pushes people around. Fans who follow the NBA, Vernon and Edward, you guys know this, they get all wrapped up in the guys like Curry, and naturally so, who are the great shooters and just wow everybody with these incredible moves. But it's the guys who do the dirty work sometimes that really make the difference. And
in Game 2, the stars, so to speak, had a really slow start. I mean, they had really off shooting nights, and so it was the bench that won that game for them, and good hard defensive play toward the end, led by Draymond Green. Even Klay Thompson had a block at one end and a 3-pointer in the same season at the other.
Yeah.
So you can never really kind of.
It's a beautiful
everything on paper. You have to roll the ball out there and see what happens.
I was going to say it's a beautiful game to watch the way the Warriors play it because they pass the ball so much. They play, their defense really sets up everything, and then the personalities on this team. I mean, you've gotten to know some of these guys, have I, and it's fun to talk to somebody like a David West who's more than just an athlete, or JaVale McGee. I mean, we caricature these people, but if you really ask them a penetrating question about what they're all about, you can actually get a pretty interesting answer. Not a lot of athletes are that way.
No, they are. They're good character guys, and I think it's understood from Steve Kerr and the rest of the guys all the way down, kind of how they do things, so to speak. You have to buy in, and if you don't buy in, then it's going to be a problem. And fortunately for these guys, last few years, it just has not been a problem at all.
What I like to see is that even when there's a mistake, they just kind of laugh it off. Pat each other on the head and just kind of move on rather than, getting each other's grill about, what they were doing wrong.
Well, I mean, Draymond will get on you. I mean, he doesn't care. He just care when you're Kevin Durant around. He's going to get on you if you're not where you're supposed to be. Because Draymond's really has to make all the defensive calls when they're back there on defense. There's so much about the game that a regular fan just watching just would never know. Who makes the calls? Who makes the calls when they switch? It's unbelievable the actual game plan and just how they do things on the floor. I mean, yeah, they make it look easy because it's second nature, but it's really hard, man.
I think it's funny. I was wondering if Draymond was going to get a technical foul because he got fouled and it was a no call, and he was kind of getting up in the face of the ref. But I guess during the playoffs, the refs are kind of probably told, hey, kind of ease up, give him a little bit of slack.
Yeah, they're told that, and the reputation of Draymond Green. Hey, look, if you're a ref, you're working the game, you're working a Warrior game, you know that Draymond's just going to be on you the entire game. So there's a line that's out there, and Draymond has crossed it a few times during the regular season, which draws him, technical fouls. But in the playoffs, yeah, it's a different animal. I mean, you're given a lot more leeway, just so you don't abuse the F word too much.
Is there anybody out there you think in the NBA besides maybe the Spurs and the Cavs who have any shot at beating this Warrior team? I mean, I look at the competition, Vern, and we're talking with Vern Glenn of KPIX Television in San Francisco. I don't see anybody out there who really can challenge this team. I'd be surprised if Portland wins one game from these guys, and even if they had Yusuf Nurkic, the big man-mountain, 7-foot, 280-pound center who's out with the broken leg, I don't think they'd win more than one game.
No, it's not going to happen. They won't lose a game this round. They may not lose a game next round, but it's the conference finals. That's when you really see who is the best team in a 7-game series. And if it has to go through San Antonio, then it goes through San Antonio. I mean, San Antonio, no matter who they are, they're the Warriors' daddy. You always want to be dad.
Yeah. And I haven't looked at the ratings lately, but I got to think that a lot of people are interested this year in basketball. A lot of times, depending upon who's in it, just kind of fades a little bit. But
well, it's what's making it compelling. I mean, who saw the Bulls at 8 seed within the first 2 games against the Celtics, the number 1 seed in the East? I didn't see that coming. Yeah. Even Dwayne Wade said that he was surprised that the Bulls were up 2-0 going into Game 3. So it's you get stuff like that happen, and it draws some attention.
Well, especially since you have the Cavs and the Warriors in it yet again, and
it probably will be. Yeah, I mean that's going to be fun to watch. Speaking
not necessarily, that's the way the Cavs have been playing. I mean, yeah, I know they're slow in their series, but they've been leaking oil.
Well, you still get the feeling
you just got to roll the ball out.
That's right.
And watch them play.
I was just going to say that LeBron, 6 times in a row to the finals. He's won 3 of them just through the sheer force of his will. And he's got some pretty good supporting cast players, whether it's Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love or some of these other guys. I just can't believe that they're not going to be able to win the East. But as you say, it is kind of relating to that, upsets. And I don't want to get off too much in the hockey because
if the Bulls keep doing what they're doing and the Celtics are out, then I'm with you. I mean, that's going to be a clear path for the Cavaliers to win the Eastern Conference.
We got to take a break.
The Bulls are doing them a favor.
Sure. We got to take a quick break, but I did want to talk to you, and Edward does too, a little bit about the hockey because I think that's a story also. But Edward, we got to.
That'll be my assignment Saturday night.
There you go.
For the day and night.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so we are talking baseball records here. Who led the league in stolen bases 9 consecutive seasons? Do I have to give you the years?
No, don't give me the years. Because if you give me the years,
don't give
okay. Yeah, don't give them to me or Vern. No.
Okay. From 1755.
Let all of Major League Baseball steals 9 straight years.
9 straight years. I thought that was pretty good. That's a pretty good question.
I think it's 1 of 3 guys. Actually, 1 of 2.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking of 1 or 2 right now.
All right. Well, we'll see if you guys know the answer to that when we come back. Vern and Bruce are going to put their heads together and come up with the answer to that question, which is who led the league in stolen bases 9 consecutive seasons? All right? Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Yeah, I am fighting this head cold.
Yeah, my wife has had that thing too. My daughter had it, and then she got the stomach flu, and then the wife, she lives in the petri dish with those kids.
Was Molly thrown up?
Oh my God, the poor thing. She had the stomach flu the night before Easter. She was up
Oh.
all night.
Ugh.
And the next day she just slept all day, and then Monday she was exhausted, and Tuesday she didn't go back to school till today.
So I got to fly to New Orleans tomorrow, spend 2 days, and then go to Austin.
Oh, that's not. You're going to two nice towns though.
True, but it's
It's a lot of flying, but I mean New Orleans is a nice town, and Austin's a great town.
Yeah, but if Edward's feeling the way he is, boy, stay away
Oh
from
yeah,
barbecue.
yeah. Drink lots of fluids.
Yeah.
Vernon, have you been down to Austin before?
I have.
Yeah.
Austin is the Berkeley of Texas.
It is. It is.
Absolutely.
It's a huge campus.
It is the central, most liberal spot.
It is. Well, people forget
Texas.
California has got a lot of conservatives, and Texas has a lot of liberals. It's just because the majority are one or the other. It doesn't mean that the whole state is one or the other.
Well, and that's what I heard about. And I wonder if that's why Sarah wants to go there. I don't know, but
It's a great school.
Austin's a great town.
Yeah.
They get 75 people moving there a day.
Wow. Yeah.
State capital.
Yeah.
The University of Texas is great bars.
Yeah.
and the weather's good too.
Yeah.
They got a slogan called "Keep Austin Weird." They like their individuality with the rest of us.
I think it's about 30,000 or something to go to that school. It's a huge school. It's one of the biggest schools in the country.
And not only that, the high schools. That's where Colt McCoy
Yeah.
High School.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
The high school stadiums are like big time.
Yeah.
They look like big time stadiums.
Plano, Texas is the one outside of Dallas. I'm always remembering that. That was kind of a powerhouse for many, many years.
Maybe
Plano.
Sarah wants to be a Longhorn. Okay, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. First trivia question. We're talking baseball records here. Who led the league in stolen bases 9 consecutive seasons?
Well, I'm thinking it's one of two guys. I'm going to let Vernon take a shot at it, and I'm also going to throw out my ideas. But go ahead,
My
Vernon.
first thought was Lou Brock. My second thought was Maury Wills. I didn't think it was Ricky because it was too obvious. So, but I'm going to go. I'll go Brock.
I'm going to go Ty Cobb only because there weren't that many great base stealers during his day. Although in those days,
That's right. Good one.
yeah. Although in those days the game was much more of a kind of a fundamental station to station. Lou Brock, by the way, kind of a sad story. He's had one leg amputated, and he's been battling a rare form of bone cancer. He's not doing really well. Really nice man. I've met him a couple times, and he's about 77 years old. That's a good answer, though. Lou Brock, I would think, is either Lou Brock or Ty Cobb.
Okay, I would have thought that too.
Not Maury Wills?
No.
Not Lou Brock, not Ty Cobb.
Okay,
Not Ricky Henderson.
Nope, and I'm going to give you the years now. 1956 to 1964.
Wow, who was a great base runner in those years? I'm stumped. Do you have any idea, Aaron?
Well, I just didn't think Willie Mays was. I mean, he's fast, but I didn't think he stole that many bases.
No?
I think he
I
did.
didn't think it was him.
I think Willie led the league in a couple of years, but I don't think more than no.
You ready?
Ricky Mantle, he was pretty fast too until he
Yeah.
tripped over the.
The sprinkler.
Oh, yeah, the sprinkler.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he played for the White Sox.
Oh, Nellie Fox? No, Luis Aparicio.
Yes.
Yes,
Luis Aparicio.
that's right. Yeah, I'm thinking, I started watching baseball when I was 7. That would have been about 59, and that was the year the White Sox went to the World Series against the Dodgers, and they played the Dodgers. Three of the games were played at the L.A. Coliseum because the first 4 years the Dodgers were in L.A., Dodger Stadium was being built, and they had to play baseball in the L.A. Coliseum, which was meant for football, of course.
Also, the original home of the Chargers.
That's right. The L.A.
LA
Chargers,
Chargers.
the Rams played there many years, and the Raiders, when they were in L.A. the 13 years, they played there as well. So,
How was it as a baseball field?
It was very strange. They had a very short porch on one side. I think it was left field, and then right field was it was ridiculous. It was out of proportion.
Well, it's like the Polo Grounds,
And
505 to the.
Yeah. I mean, those close to 500 feet to center, and down the lines it was 290. So kind of the same
I
way.
mean, it's made for football.
Yeah, exactly. But in those,
Speaking of baseball, and Edward, I think of you every time I see it. You have got to see this TV show called Rockfire. You guys ever heard of it?
no, tell us about it.
Brand new show. It's on a network called IFC. Sounds like a boxing governing body, but
IFC.
IFC. I pick it up off demand on my cable subscriber.
Wow.
So if you go on demand, type in Brockmire, that's Brockmire, it'll pop up. It's a new season. It's a new season, and there's only been 3 episodes. I watched the 3rd one last night. But it's a story of a play-by-play sportscaster / public address announcer named Jim Brockmire. It's played by an actor by the name of Hank Zera of Simpsons fame. But anyway, he's cut out of the mold of Red Barber.
Wow.
And he wears this red checkered jacket, just a loud jacket, and he's an old school baseball announcer.
Oh, that's great.
And he was a Major League Baseball announcer, and then without giving much away, something happens that creates a meltdown on the air.
Is that why you think of me? Because of the meltdown?
So he has this epic meltdown on the air, and then you fast forward 10 years, and he is hired by a baseball owner of a minor league team of a small town in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Played by an actress by the name of Amanda.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so she brings him in to kind of draw interest and because he's a real colorful guy. And in the 10 years that he's been away from the game, here's a guy, he's so old school, no TV, no cable, no internet, he has no computers whatsoever, he doesn't know what. Anyway, these meltdowns that he was having on the air during his Major League Baseball, they're viral videos on YouTube.
Oh my goodness.
No idea of any of that.
Oh no.
So everybody knows who he is, but he doesn't know why.
Wow. Wow.
And so he joins this minor league club, and he essentially they instead of keeping it real, they call it keeping it Brockmire.
Yeah.
And he just does his thing, and it's zany, and it is funny.
So I got to ask you, why do you think of me when you watch it?
Because you love baseball.
Oh, there you go.
You will love it.
Okay.
You will laugh out loud on this show.
That sounds like a great show. You know, as a sports announcer, having done this, and you've done it for a long time, Vernon, and I'm a little bit older than Vern. I started in '75, and my goal always was to do play-by-play. I did a lot of it in college, but the play-by-play jobs are the toughest jobs to get. And basically, if you want to do it, you have to go wherever they are. And I was one of these people. I just didn't want to live in the Midwest or the South or the Northeast. I wanted to stay on the West Coast, so I opted to take whatever job I could and ended up doing some TV work and talk shows and updates, and I've been fine with that. But play-by-play is the most fun. It's truly the essence of sportscasting because you're describing something as it happens, and as Vernon knows, baseball is the most, and you know this too, Edward. Baseball is the most conversational sport. You can actually tell stories during the game.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think it's easier to be play-by-play than it is to be the color now?
It depends. I don't know.
I don't think it's easier. That's
yeah, I don't know.
You never want to have any dead air. So if you're a play guy, you better have some stories. You better know the game.
Yeah.
You got to keep it moving.
You got to keep it moving.
You have to be a setup man for your color guy.
I think one of the keys though at baseball is you have to also know when to kind of pull back a little bit because the game by its nature, it's a long season. There's a game every day, and it has a leisurely kind of a pace. And we're not looking at the clock all the time. And when I hear people complaining about how long the games are, I'm thinking, yeah, but you came out here to get away from all the frantic, deadlines, and now you're complaining because the game is going so long. I can understand it from our point of view because we're working. We want to get the game over with so we can get back to work. But, the fans come out there to enjoy the game. I never heard back in the day when I used to go to double headers, oh, gee, we're going to be out the ballpark for 6 or 7 hours. That's why you went out there, to slow down time, and that's the beauty of baseball. It's unlike any other sport in that regard.
So now Jeremy Adfeld just joined.
Well, he's doing some part-time, yeah.
I think, how did you guys listen to him?
Yeah, he was okay.
He was okay.
He didn't mail it in. I mean, he's got certain things to say. He's played the game. He's got the insight.
That's the thing. Because he's a pitcher, or was a pitcher. It's very interesting to listen to him talk about the pitches and what's going on.
It's good to get those guys that are the experts on if they can articulate well, and some of them are very, very good. I mean, the A's have Mark Mulder. They've had, I think, Scott Hatterberg's been up there. The Giants have had a number of people over the years. Of course, their top two television guys, Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow, longtime fans remember them from the 1980s. So, they bring a certain personality. Look at Hawk Harrelson with the White Sox. I mean, my gosh, he's a piece of work. If you ever listen to him, sometimes and I remember there was a guy named Phil Rizzuto who did the Yankees, and Phil sometimes literally would not be watching what was going on, and he not while he was doing play-by-play, but while the other guy was doing play-by-play, and Bill White, who was his color guy, later the former player and the former National League president, would say, "What happened in that last at bat to so and so, 2 innings ago?" And Rizzuto would say, "I got a WW on my scorecard." What does that mean? Wasn't watching.
Holy cow!
Holy cow! There you go. Yeah. Now Vernon, I get the feeling you would have enjoyed doing play-by-play or color on the radio, wouldn't you? Because you're like me and Edward. We just love to talk.
I've only done it in spot duty for football games and basketball games. Never did it for baseball.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It is fun.
Doing it as a daily grind every day, boy, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Doing it every day would be kind of tough. But there are times like I'll be watching TV or even maybe listening and then just kind of imagining doing play-by-play. Yeah,
Well, I'm thinking he brought up something. He said doing it on a daily basis. Vernon it does a daily grind. I mean, you're out there either doing the anchoring or you're doing the reporting, but you get a little variety there with one or the other. But that's a grind. I mean, tell us about
your... but it's a grind, but no day is the same.
Well, that's true.
You think about these radio baseball play-by-play guys. I mean, it's every day.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing.
I mean, preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, and you don't. I mean, you just don't roll out of bed and show up at the ballpark 10 minutes before the game.
No.
And start doing it. I mean, they're hours before the game starts.
Yep.
You got to do the manager's show.
Yeah, Vern, you remind me a little bit of Will Clark.
You got to talk to guys from other teams and get a sense of who's pitching, why. Then you go up there and then do the game.
Vern,
post game.
Vern, you remind me of Will Clark. That you do this for free. You can't believe you get paid to have so much fun.
I feel the same way.
In the area, you can't do anything for free.
No, that's for sure. And Vern's got 3 boys and a wife, so he's got to really hustle. I've just got the one kid and a wife who works, so I've got to hustle, but not quite as much as Vern. He's a hard-working dude.
And you guys know what I've got, so
yeah, we do. We do.
Without comment. Okay, so here's our second trivia question. We're talking baseball records. What pitcher led his league 8 times by walking the most batters in a season?
Wow. 8 times he led the league in walks?
And it's the same guy, right?
Yeah, you'll know. Yeah,
had to be pretty good.
Yeah, all these questions you'll know.
Had to be pretty good if he had 8 years of doing that. And he probably had 7 or 8 more when he did. So he probably was a pretty good pitcher. This would be interesting.
All right, email edward@sportsecon101.com. The answer to that question. Don't touch that dial. SportsEcon101. We'll be right back.
What a beautiful day out there, Vernon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I took a walk with the wife and the dog in the neighborhood.
Nice.
It's another terrific day.
Yeah, we're so spoiled. I mean, when the weather does get nice here, there's no place prettier. There really isn't.
Once I get to work, I won't come out of the building.
Yeah.
It won't come out until it's done.
I'm with you, man. I'm just 2 floors below you, so I have to say KCBS has got a great facility. It's almost like a small TV newsroom. I don't know if you've been down there, but it's a big area for a radio station. I've never worked in.
That building used to be a Wonder Bread factory.
Is that right? It looks like a kind of a factory from the outside.
Yeah.
Wow. When did KPIX and I know KCPS was in another location. I know they were in the Embarcadero.
KPIX was on it was on like Mission and 5th or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about some hockey?
Yeah, let's throw in some hockey just for the heck of it, because you're going to be covering the Sharks, and this will be fun.
All right, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I am Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan and our special guest, who used to be one of our co-hosts, Vern Glenn. Here was our second trivia question. What pitcher led his league 8 times by walking the most batters in a season?
I'm going to say Bert Blyleven, but I think actually Bert Blyleven gave up the most home runs for several years because he would always do it. He'd always do it with nobody on base, which is okay. But it's not.
Jamie Moyer comes to mind.
Guy pitched a long time.
No?
Pitched a long time, and okay pitches. I'm going to go with a guy like that.
Okay.
No, but Bruce, you were kind of close when you'd said about if the guy had pitched. If you led him in walks for 8 times,
right.
Then he'd been
pitched for a long
15
time. Years or so,
yeah.
Right? Who was it?
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan pitched for 21 years or something?
Like that,
23 years?
All those strikeouts, and then he had a whole bunch of walks.
Yeah. Well, you pitched that many innings too, and he was an Iron Man. He pitched a lot of complete games.
Well, it's like Babe Ruth struck out a lot, hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little hockey because I'm not a huge hockey fan, but Vernon, I went to the University of Denver, which is the big school in hockey in the Western United States. They won the national championship this year, won it 4 times in the 1960s, and when you go to a hockey game, it's unlike any other sport. I think it doesn't translate as well to television, but when you're out at the games, there's something about the sport that just is mesmerizing, and there's nothing quite like Stanley Cup hockey. You've covered enough of that action. What's your...
there's an electricity about it where you have to. Of the big 4, hockey is the one sport where you have to go to the game to actually appreciate just how great it is, how fast these guys skate, the collisions that are made with each other and against the wall, and just the beautiful stick play and the goalies. My God, I did a hockey story 3 weeks ago with the San Jose Sharks minor league team, the Barracuda. They suited me up, man, and put me in goal. Man, I mean, you got to be a great skater to play goalie.
Well, not only do you have to be a great skater, you have to be kind of crazy.
Yeah, fearless.
You have to be kind of crazy. I did that during an intramural game once, and I said to myself, I'm never going to do that again. I've heard stories about goalies who literally had nightmares about the puck flying at them. And think about this. Before the 1970s, nobody wore a face mask. Nobody.
Really?
Glenn Hall, all these guys, Terry, I can't remember the guy's name, but the great goalies did not wear masks. And
my first story on the San Jose Sharks, their first year, 1991, Doug Wilson was on the team.
Doug Wilson.
He had been grandfathered in, and Doug Wilson did not wear a helmet.
He didn't wear a helmet, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, so how many guys died?
Well, only one. Actually, Bill Masterson, who went to the University of Denver, who played with the Minnesota North Stars, hit his head on the ice and died a short time later, and that was kind of the thing that in college hockey you were required to wear them as early as I think the late 60s. In pro hockey, it wasn't as Edward mentioned. Vernon mentioned about Wilson, 1991 or 92, I think. That's when the Sharks moved out here. I think there were several guys besides Wilson that were not wearing helmets. And Doug Wilson, I asked him about this. He's the general manager of the Sharks, and he said, I just never felt comfortable with a helmet on. Yeah. And then you got a guy like Logan Couture, who had teeth knocked out on the top of his mouth. On the bottom, he had all this extensive oral surgery. His teeth are now being held together by wires and some sort of a prosthetic thing in his mouth, and he's got a halo around his mouth. This guy goes out and scores a couple of goals the other night. I mean, talk about a great story. And in any other sport, this guy'd be sitting at home. It takes him 40 minutes to eat his meal. Have you had any chance to hear a little bit about this, Vernon? Because that's quite a story.
Yeah, I did. No, I have such respect for these players. I mean, you gotta truly love the game. Be able to do it.
Well, you did the Hanson brothers reenactment.
I did, yeah. That's the Hanson brothers. They kind of beat me up on the ice. It's a scary looking punch.
Yeah.
Vernon, were you like Edward and me? I mean, we all love sports. We all took part in sports. We still kind of try to get out there and do it from time to time. But were you one of those frustrated jocks who wasn't quite good enough to be on the big team, but you just couldn't stay away from it? Because that's the main reason I got into sports broadcasting, because I love being around it. It was so relaxing and fun. And I'm wondering.
I love being around it. I love playing it. I love talking about it, and I love writing about it.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's great. And it just got a future trip. And I always fantasized about being a sportscaster. I was too small to be any kind of professional athlete or whatever, but I was fast enough and quick enough where I could play football at running back at the small high school that I went to. And then I ran track because it was quick for short distances. I was a sprinter. But by the time you get to college, you have to leave that aside and start talking about the elite athletes and really point. And I was fortunate enough to get into this job forever ago and been able to make a career out of it.
Isn't that sweet? It is fun. I mean, the ups and downs and the roller coaster rides, and especially now with broadcasting going through so many changes with the internet and consolidation. And I was bemoaning to Edward before we started the show today about so many great broadcasters, whether they're news people or sports people, have been cut out of work because of deregulation, but it's just part of our industry. But if you get a chance to do this for a living, it is so much fun because, as Vernon was pointing out, Edward, there's never a boring day. I mean, there's always something going on.
Except for the day before and after the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, during the base. Well, that's kind of nice. You get a chance to take a breath and maybe take your wife out for a nice, walk by the lake or something. I don't know.
What are they, the sport, I mean, I got to watch Sports Center or some form of that the day before and day after the All-Star game. Because, I mean, what do they talk about?
Well, they have plenty of stuff in reserve. I mean, Vern, that's one of the things.
Absolutely, yeah. That's when you start seeing not the year in review, but the first half of the season and the scorecard and who's doing what, and that's when those kind of things start going up.
I love ESPN. I have to say, I know they've cornered the market and they drive a lot of people crazy because they, pound their chest and say, well, "Look at us!" But they have done it the right way. The other night I was flipping around, I'm watching a couple of games, and all of a sudden I couldn't turn off this feature on John Calipari, the former UMass coach who he had a little foray in the NBA, but what an interesting guy, and the way they covered him. They went back in time 20 years ago when Marcus Camby was there, and they had all the problems with him, and what a great guy he turned out actually to be. I mean, those are the kind of stories. They have the time to do it, and to me, that's what sports is all about. It's the human element and all of the relationships and the history that make it so compelling. That's why we keep coming back to it.
Well, for some reason that just popped in my head about Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's...
I mean, first of all, I guess there's some questions about whether it was suicide, but it sure seems like it really was.
I think he just was a tortured individual.
I think so, too.
You kill one of your relatives. I guess it was one of his in-laws or his sister's boyfriend or something, and then
it was his best friend that he grew up with, and they dated each other's sisters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that murder number 1 or 2?
That was the one he was accused of, or that was the one he was convicted of, wasn't it, Vernon?
Yeah, he was convicted of a double homicide. Then he was acquitted of that, and then but he was still on the hook for another homicide the next year, and I don't know. You may never know what happened.
Yeah.
As far as him being found, dead in his cell with, alleged suicide. But man, what a story of a guy that had everything.
Yeah.
And just threw it right away.
Well, it just shows you we're all human, and some of us, unfortunately, are a lot more flawed. And Aaron Hernandez was more than a flawed individual. He just was a guy who went off into a bad corner, and just a bad person. Anybody who does that kind of thing, you got to lock them up. I mean, that's just terrible.
And I was reading that he was a freshman when Tebow was a sophomore.
Oh, okay.
They're both in Florida.
Wow.
And it's like a little bit different personalities on the
it'd
team.
be interesting. I hope ESPN does a little feature on him and looks into his background, because it sounds like he didn't sound like that hard a guy. Maybe he had some rough experiences early in life that kind of scarred him, and something happened along the way. But it's just, you hear that kind of a story, and then you hear a guy like I mentioned, Marcus Camby, who took some payoffs, and it really screwed over UMass's basketball program. But he later played in the NBA 13 years, apologized, felt really badly, went to John Calipari, and Calipari forgave him, and they became great friends. And, it actually is a good story in the end because he redeemed himself. But Aaron Hernandez, that just is... Vern, we haven't had to cover too many of those type of stories.
It's weird that it's like he kills himself after he gets acquitted.
Well, I think just being back in the...
Well, he was still. I mean, he was still on the hook for the other murder.
Yeah, he's still facing a life sentence. I think it's just bringing it all back. His name was in the papers again, and all for this horrible deed. And I just think it made him realize again how miserable. What a terrible decision he made.
Well, also I wonder.
Horrible.
Isn't it weird? It all went down on the day the Patriots visited.
Donald Trump. Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah.
But hey, and I should mention there were 34 players chose not to go to the White Sox.
34 out of the
34.
Wow.
How many chose to not go when Obama was in? Like 2?
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering with the Hernandez thing, if maybe because he got acquitted, that the demons inside of him just, you know, they knew he was guilty, and
Well,
it's just that, you know, that part was fighting.
I think that's part of the problem. You know, I mean, I know Vernon and Edward and I all have run across people who have had some rough times. You know, I lost my older brother to drugs. He abused himself for many, many years. I love the guy dearly, but he took his own life because he was miserable after 20 years of just, you know, living pretty much on the streets. And I think people get desperate. I mean, even a guy like Robin Williams, who had all that success, he was haunted by all sorts of demons. And of course, more than that, he had some serious health problems that were really deteriorating his life. But I think Aaron Hernandez, I'm speculating, I'm guessing he was just dogged by all of the guilt and all of the misery that he put himself and his family through. That's just an opinion. I don't know. I have nothing more.
Run away from yourself.
You can't. Well, on that positive note. So Vernon, what's your?
That's what we're glass half full.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's
I was talking to a guy that I work with at KCBS in San Francisco, Henry Wolford, who worked locally with television and now is doing traffic overnights, and it's rough. You know, he's had a roller coaster career, and I said, Henry, I think you're Vernon's half brother because he comes in, he is so positive, he is so upbeat, he is so energetic, and I think Vernon, that's something you've got to be in life, because if you're not, you know, it's going to make your daily existence a little more difficult.
Also, he's reporting on traffic, not on homicide.
Right, exactly.
That helps,
Yeah.
You know, unless there's a bad accident or something.
But you know, you know what I'm saying. You know Henry, and there are not many guys like that, like yourself, or you know, to a certain degree myself. I go through my moods. We all do, but you always stay so positive and upbeat, and I think that's the only way to be.
Well, and I was going to ask you, Vern, is one of the reasons because you're doing the job that you really love?
Yeah,
I'd say that's the primary reason. I mean, this is everything I wanted to do again since the 10th grade. I mean, and there's no fires, there's no murders, nobody's losing a house, there's nobody's getting screwed. At least outside of bending the rules during the course of a game. And you get winners, you get losers. I mean, nobody dies, and we're not curing cancer. We're reporting on sports.
Yeah.
And at its core, a lot of times sports can bring people together. Perfect strangers.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I know. I love it when you watch a basketball game and Curry makes a 3-pointer and you see these people high-fiving each other. You know.
Yeah. Well, it brings the community together. It really does. You know, championships do that. They knit the community together.
Hey guys, we're going to get to our last commercial break trivia question here. Talking baseball records. Who was the youngest player to hit 50 home runs in a season? That's our question.
Good question.
Again, you will know the player. Obviously,
I know the player, but I don't know if I have the answer. Maybe Vernon does.
to hit 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's our question.
Can you tell whether it's recent or whether it was a while back?
I would say it's more recent.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be back with some closing comments. All right, let's see this file.
I really appreciate you doing this with us.
Yeah.
I've had a tough time getting guests the last few weeks forever because of the crazy hours I've been working at the radio station. But that's working out well.
Are we coming down the home stretch?
We are.
We are.
Just
We're
have
almost
2
done.
minutes.
We got 2 minutes, and we're.
I'm getting that look from the wife.
Uh-oh.
You got
She's
to
got-
at
she's
least
got
hang
you.
in for the answer.
She's got you lined up for something. And my wife called me right before I went on the air here. She wanted to know about my flat tire coming home from the game last night.
It's in the front of your. Hey, okay.
Yeah.
It's in the trunk of your car. It was out of the bag. It was in the corner. It was right in the corner because it got packed at the last minute. Did you have practice yesterday? Oh. Really?
All right.
I didn't see that. We haven't plugged in? All right, sorry, mini
That's,
Christ.
No
that's
problem.
okay. Okay, here we go.
With missing gloves.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan and our favorite guest, Vern Glenn. Trivia question: who was the youngest player to hit 50 home runs in a season?
You know, I'm going to say Ken Griffey Jr. But
That's right.
yeah, it's a good guess. But I don't think it's Ken
I'm going
Griffey.
to say Mark McGuire.
No, remember he hit 49.
How about Steve Trout?
Oh, that's right. He did.
Mike Trout?
Or Mike Trout. Mike Trout. I'm thinking of Steve Trout, the pitcher.
All right. How about Brady Anderson?
Yeah,
No,
that's right.
that's a good one too.
Yeah.
No, Prince Fielder.
Oh, yeah.
Actually.
Mansfield.
But you know, it's funny. You mentioned Mark McGuire. I remember his rookie season, and they were playing Kansas City on the last day, and Hal McRae said, "No, we're going to walk this guy." And it was like a meaningless game. It's like, come on,
I know.
you know, give the guy a shot. He's a rookie. He had 49 home runs. You didn't want to be the.
People get petty, you know.
I know that to me is really petty.
Yeah.
Well, Vern Glenn, thank you very much again for joining us on Sports Econ 101.
Thanks so much, Vernon.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Vernon is one of the good guys, as we said, who has been doing this a long time, and he's been fortunate to have been at one place. Well, he was at KRON for, I think, 23 years. Now he's been at KPX for several, so it's working out pretty well.
All right, here's our thoughts for the day. P.J. Woodhouse. Who is that? Sure.
It sounds like a guy who was into music or poetry or something.
That sounds about
Yeah.
right. So he said, to find a man's true character, play golf with him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And Paul Harvey, we know who he is.
Good day.
Good day. Yes.
The rest of the story?
Yeah, good day.
Good day.
He said, golf is a game in which you yell 4, shoot 6, and write down 5.
I like that. That's good. I like
that too.
That's a good one.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective. Who's our guest next week?
We got Marcus Thompson, who wrote a book about Steph Curry and has been covering the Warriors, so we'll get into some interesting background on Steph Curry and how he's become this amazing superstar. A little guy, too. He's only 6'3", 180 pounds. 190. Sounds little, but for NBA, that is little.
That's small.
That is small.
All right, we're also going to be asking some sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
That's good. Good.
Excellent.
Worded so good.
Yeah, I don't. God, I'm just fighting this headache thing.